Hello everyone. Thank you for tuning in for another episode. I want to quickly give my appreciation to everyone who viewed the previous video, which talked about the NEV to R3D little file extension trick that you can do to get your Nikon RAW video files to behave and be processed through the red IPP2 color pipeline. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do that step by step, along with going over some of the color management settings that you can use to get the best out of your image inside of DaVinci Resolve. At the time of this video, the Premiere Pro beta does work with the Nikon RAW files in .r3d form. So let's get into it. Let's go right into Resolve. I have a blank project here. I'm going to show you my color management settings just to start. This is probably the most basic way you could set everything up. For color science, I'm going to use DaVinci YRGB. For my timeline color space or my working color space, I'm going to use DaVinci Wide Gamut Intermediate. And for my output color space, I'm going to choose Rec 709. You could use Rec 709 Gamma 2.4 if you're on Windows. I'm on Mac, and a lot of the people I work with, they like to view through QuickTime. So I'm going to choose Rec 709-A, which by doing that allows QuickTime to properly display the video file in the correct gamma. Now let's get some footage to work with here. So I'm going to go over to my Finder window, and I've navigated to some sample clips from NAB 2024. I'm going to go into my Card 2 folder, navigate through, and here I have all of my files. Now I've sorted these via kind because I want to batch convert the file extension for a bunch of different files at once. So here's my .nev files. All I need to do is click on the first one, shift click on the last one, and then I'm going to right click and I'm going to say rename. Now, normally this comes up as add text. I believe that's how it defaults to. You want to make sure that this drop down is set to replace text. And so I'm going to find my .nev, and I'm going to replace it with .r3d. So you can do the dot or not. You could just do NEV and R3D. I like to make sure that it's actually only affecting the extension and not trying to change anything else about the file name. So by doing the .nev, it's going to look specifically for those 4 characters. And I'm going to hit rename, and it's going to bring a pop-up. Do I want to use R3D or keep .nev? And then it has a checkbox for apply to all. So I'm going to make sure apply to all is checked. I'm going to click use .r3d. Now all of my files are showing up as red files. You can see the little red icon. That's the red symbol right next to in the file thumbnail. Now one thing I could do is I could just take all these, I can drag them and drop them in, and there they are. Or you can go, let me clear that. You can go into your media page, go into the file, the hard drive rather, that you have it stored onto. I'm navigating to where I have mine placed, Card 2, ACAM Card 2. And so these are all the MP4 proxies. You can also use a proxy workflow if you want. And then here's my .r3ds. So I'm going to select all of these. And for my safety's sake, I don't use drag and drop. I right click and add into media pool. So now all of my clips are here. And these were filmed in 4.1K Nikon RAW. So 4.1K works. Doesn't just have to be 6K or 8K or the 5.4K. So here's all of the clips I have from Las Vegas with my friend Sydney. You can find him at Sydney Baker Green on YouTube. And so here's all of our clips from a lens test we were doing out there. We got to film with the DZO artless lenses for the first time. I think this was before anybody actually got to know what these lenses are. I believe one of the reps there said we were one of the first ones to film on them. So I'm just going to quickly create a new timeline with all of my clips. Let's call it string out _R3D and hit create. And when I go over to my timeline, I can scrub real easy. Look how this scrubs. It's so smooth. So whether you're processing .nev as .nev or .r3d, the compression that they use appears to be easier to work with on Mac platforms. I can show you here, if I go to About This Mac, this is an Apple MacBook Pro running 64 gigabytes of memory on the Apple M2 Max. Let me go into the color page. So before we said that we had our color management set to YRGB. By having it in this mode, it's not actually color managing anything for us. It's just saying this is where we want to work in. So this is probably the most basic steps that you could do. Down here in the RAW tab, you can see we actually have all of the red controls. If I change the decode parameters to clip instead of project, I now gain control over all of the red R3D RAW controls that you would normally see with a red camera. So I can change my color space to Rec 709, then have my gamma as 1886. So now that's very simple. That's your basic Rec 709 conversion, and it's using IPP2 to do that. So I get control of my output tone map. So I can make it very hard contrast, and maybe I want to clip those highlights or make it very contrasty. So I'm going to change my highlight roll off. I got my chroma noise reduction if I want to use that. And you can see, if you look at the chroma warp tool in the middle, you can see what it's doing to the colors. It's very, like, right there, it's very spread out and it looks a little fuzzy. And then when I lose all that noise, it very much clears up. So now I can see where all my color is. I can change my ISO. Let's go dark. Let's go really bright, 12,800. Very noisy. Let's go back to 800 where we filmed it at. My color temperature, let's make it blue, make it super orange. Let's go super orange, and then I'll bring in some magenta, or no, let's shift it back actually to green. So there's some interesting looks here. That's a nice amber color. So let's reset the tint. I'm gonna put 5,000 back for my cut white balance. I got my exposure adjust, which is almost like the ISO control, but I think it functions differently a little bit. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I have total control over my image. So typically when I'm working inside of a project, I want to use my log profile for the footage I'm working in. So in this case, I'm going to use red, white, gamut, RGB. That's going to give me red, white, gamut colors. And log 3G10 is our log profile. So from here in our node tree, let's take a color space transform. Gonna bring that in. So our input color space, like we said, was red, white, gamut, RGB. And input gamma is red log 3G10. Now when we set up our color management, we said our timeline color space is going to be DaVinci White Gamma Intermediate. So you could just leave this as use timeline, or if you, for my own sanity, I like to go in and do it still. So I'm going to put DaVinci White Gamut, DaVinci Intermediate, just so I can see what the process is that's happening. It's just, for me, for my brain, I like to see and know quickly what's happening here. So I'm going to hit Option S, or you can go to color here and go to nodes, add serial node. And here I'm going to add another color space transform, and this time we're going from DaVinci wide gamut, because that's our timeline color space. That's what was coming out of the other CST. DaVinci intermediate for my input gamma, and then my output color space is going to be Rec 709, and my gamma is going to be gamma 2.4, or you could use 2.2. A lot of that 2.2 and 2.4 are the most commonly used. So now I've gotten to my Rec 709 color space. You'll notice in the RAW tab, if my color space and my gamma curve is log 3G10 red white gamut, I no longer have control over the tone mapping and the highlight roll off. This is because I am wanting to take the very base image in the log profile. I don't want to do any application of color science or color or any sort of chroma or gamma controls from red. I want to use DaVinci Resolve to do that. So I have my input output sandwich here. So I'm going to just say, rename this to my input CST. And then I'm going to rename this to node label to output R709. And so I want to add a serial node in between these two. And so here, this is where I'm going to do all of my traditional lift gamma gain adjustments. So I can make it a little dimmer, maybe bring him up a little bit, bring them so it's less contrast, bring the mid tones up with my gamma. Maybe I want to bring it up right, and then I'm going to use my offset to give it a little back to normal. So very basically, that's where I want to do all my color correction, is between my node sandwich. So that was pretty basic, using CSTs to go in and out. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to show you one of my workflows, the way I do things here. So let's choose this clip here. So I'm going to clear my grades and nodes. And this is really great because he's in shadow and he comes directly into the sunlight. So I have a power grade here. I have apply that. So I actually have quite a few things going on here. So I'm taking my ACES transform from red log 3G10 to linear, which I'm leaving as no output transform. That puts it in ACES AP0 and linear. And then I have a DCTL that's taking from linear to JP log 2, which, if you know Dado Valentic and what he's doing, then you know JP log 2 is what you really, really want. We'll do a whole video on that later. And then I have a blank node here, and here's my JP log 2 back out to ACES linear. And I'm taking ACES linear to back out to log 3G10. And then I have a lookup table from Panavision here, the Light Iron Color 2 film. So I've got that applied, and in the middle here, I can start making my color corrections. So I'm gonna just range this a little bit better. So here we go. Now I can take this, I'm gonna add a DCTL, and I'm gonna add in this filmic contrast. I'm going to come back here to the camera raw tab first, and I'm going to bring him down. So I'm going to take the ISO from 800. Let's go down to 100. That looks good. And then I'm going to add a little bit of my filmic contrast in there. Let's see, keep bringing that up, That's looking really good there. One thing I try to use in this, you can see this white rock back here. Is I want to, the white rock behind his face, what I want to do is I want to bring that down a little bit. So I'm going to take my white point in this DCTL, I'm going to drag it down. Just be pretty drastic with it. And then increase my fall off. So now you can see that a little bit of that detail is coming back. It's kind of softening out all the whites overall. Make sure my transfer function is in CCT. There we go. That's better. So now I turn that off and on. Just a nice subtle little contrast. Let's add another node. I'm gonna bring in my DCTL again. I'm gonna choose this time. I'm going to use my subtractive saturation. So on this DCTL, and all these DCTLs you can find on GitHub. That's where I found them. Maybe we'll do a video about that a little bit later. But I'm going to choose my value calculation to maximum, my density calculation to minimum. It does some weird stuff here, but I'm going to bring that density down. Let's bring it up just a little bit. Okay, and then let's increase the gamma, not that much. I want to be very subtle with this. You can see that's doing quite a bit here, especially in the yellows and the blues. And then next, I'm going to bring in another DCTL, and I'm going to actually use my tetra, the hue tetra. So what I want to do is I want to take my cyans and my blues, and I want to tint those to be a little more towards royal blue. So let's do that here. Subtle. It's very subtle, but we can make that. And then let's take a look at his skin here. To green. Let's warm this up just a little, shift it a little more to the magenta side, so it's a little more pinker. And then we can take our magenta, see what this is doing to the rock here. There's a lot of blue reflecting off the rock, so let's actually take that down. I'm going to clean this rock up just a little bit. It's subtle, but it's nice, and I like it. Lastly, I'm going to come to the very, very end of my pipeline, and after my node, I'm going to add a power window. So turn that on, and then I'm going to go to my 16:9 vignette that I've had made presets beforehand. You can save a preset. So I'm just going to do this. And I believe that's already inverted. So I'm going to come over here to my HDR wheels. And I'm just going to reduce it by, let's say, half a stop. It's subtle. Let's try 2/3 of a stop. Yeah, and let's get rid of that window. Yeah, I like what that's doing. Here he is coming from behind the rock. He goes into shadow. It's not crushed, but it looks nice, and he walks right out here into the sunlight. And this was all filmed on a Nikon Z8 in 4.1K, and he walks away. So just to give you guys an example, let's add a new version. I'm going to erase all of this. I'm just going to come to the color wheels, or the raw control. I'm going to say Rec 709 BT 1886. Wow. Look at the difference here. And if I'm in the, change my output tone map to high, and maybe let's go medium on the highlights. No, let's go soft and medium on the contrast. There. Quite a difference, but I really like what these DCTLs are doing. This is just an example of what you can do by changing your file extension from NAV to R3D. You really unlock the potential of these raw video files and what can be achieved with them by utilizing the IPP2 color pipeline from Red. So I hope that this helped you to understand how to do this. Maybe gives you an idea of what can be achieved by all of these Nikon cameras now. So please comment down below what you would like to see next. Just to clarify, this is currently available in DaVinci Resolve 20.2 and the Premiere Pro beta that's currently out now. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you on my next video. Have a good day.